Michelle is one of the stars of the brand new musical, Amazing Grace on Broadway. And I want to say, wow, what a powerful show and what a powerful performance.
Thank you. Thank you very much. For me, it's a labor of love. It's been a long time coming, about 6 years in the making. Started from a reading into a workshop, and then we went off to the Goodspeed Opera House for the very first performance in front of a live theater audience, and then to the Bank of America Theater in Chicago, and now Broadway.
And people don't realize how long it takes to get to Broadway.
Yes.
It takes a long time.
Well, this writer has been working on this script for about 17 years. So yeah, it's a lot. Now there are some shows that come in on the fast track because they have names attached to it and they have the power and money to do that. But this wasn't one of those stories. Our writer, Christopher Smith, was a former police officer, and he retired and was just browsing through the library, and he came across this book on John Newton and was called really to write this story. And these are his words, is that he was called to write Amazing Grace, this Broadway musical. And he went door to door to prominent producers throughout the city, and Carolyn, our main producer, took it on, and it was a pretty dense script at the time, as you can imagine. So yeah, so we've trimmed it down, finessed it. It's been really a collaboration.
When I saw it, what I was most impressed with, this is a very brave undertaking.
Mm-hmm.
Musicals usually are la-di-da, they're
Yes.
fun, they're
Yes.
comedic, they leave you singing tunes when you leave the theater, they don't leave you crying.
Yeah.
I mean, when they finally sing, I don't want to give the show away,
Yes.
but when they finally sing the Amazing Grace at the end, and then they come back for the finale, come back for the encore, and they go back into it one more time, and the audience is all standing, and they're singing along with you in tears. It was the most amazing thing.
Hashtag.
Yes. It really was a theater moment, and it was very profound. And to take on such a brave story, to tell the story of someone who went from disregard for human life to an abolitionist who stood up for human life, and then he found a whole religious calling from that.
Yeah.
Very powerful story.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just based on what you just said, I just want to add that for me, Broadway has not really seen anything quite like this. And I like to describe it more along the lines as a theatrical experience rather than a musical theater piece of art, because there's something very different about that. Musical theater to me has a way of showing through performance. And when you're called to do something, play these roles as slaves, you gotta sink down, really down into it. So you're allowing yourself to live through your ancestors, really, and give voice to that. So not only is the audience having the experience, but we as the actors are also living that experience as well.
But what I saw was there was such a dignity in all of the characters who were slaves. It wasn't, when I think about slave characters, we were talking about it yesterday, we were talking about Hattie McDaniel's in Gone with the Wind, and how she was the all-knowing, chastising, kind of mammy figure.
Yeah.
But there's none of that in this. This is truly, everyone who plays a character is a dignity. And in some respects, their portrayals are more poignant even than the lead character.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for saying so. Yeah, with any script that you do as an actor, the very first thing that I do anyway is I bring myself to it. So that's the only way in for me, is to see how do I identify with this character, how are we similar? Because I don't want to start completely from square one. I need a way in to give this character a voice. And then I do the homework and the research and all of that and the layers on for the parts that I can't really, that aren't as tangible to me. And our director, Gabriel Barry, he really took his time in the rehearsal process with allowing us as artists to have a voice at the table. I think we did more time discussing the period and all, the history of slavery and the experiences. And there's a moment in the show where the slaves, they actually come out of a crate on stage, and we got inside that crate and we spent some time in there, Although I have a scene where I'm in the jail cell and I'm singing about finding the light within your darkness. My character doesn't have chains, but throughout rehearsal, I would wear the chains because I needed to know what that was, because it changes you. When you come from a passage of the middle passage, chained down from months and months and months, it changes your voice, your physical behavior, your how you speak. When you speak. And it was just a very fragile rehearsal process. And I think that all the African American actors in this show handled it bravely. And I think it was scary for the white actors in the show, quite frankly, to know that we were all going to sink in on a very deep level in rehearsal. So, yeah.
Something you said, and I do want to elaborate on this. You sort of called yourself an actor.
Mm-hmm.
So you're trained.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like you to share a little bit of your whole education and your history.
Okay. I attended Alabama State University for my graduate degree, and where I trained under Dr. Tamia Stewart. And I say that when I do a little hip hop because she is one of the most powerful beings walking this earth, and she really gave me my roots in this craft of acting. And Alabama State University, the program is growing so much, and I just want to just keep shouting and waving its flag because I couldn't be prouder of that training. But she was also the woman who told me that, you got to go to graduate school. And when Brandeis University in Massachusetts came to our program, they were looking to complete their class with an African American male. And she said, I got your mail. And I walked into the room. And I got that full scholarship to go to Brandeis. And, it was just what I needed. I was the one of 3 blacks inside of the MFA program. And it just helped me to refine my craft, and boy, did it prepare me for this business. I went into that program knowing what I wanted to get out of it, and I knew that I wanted to leave the program as a leading lady. And the very first show that we did there was A Month in the Country, and I remember there was the maid role in the servant in the script that's written, and I just was so afraid that I was going to be tagged to be those roles while I was in graduate school, and I was the leading lady, and it just opened. I just felt so much worth to know that I earned this part to be the leading lady, and but it was also very confusing. So when I got to New York City and I wasn't anymore, I did slip into the roles of servant and service, and it was frightening coming into New York City, knowing that you're not going to be Julia, but you will be her nurse, or whatever those roles, how those roles parallel. So when Amazing Grace came along, I wouldn't say that it was one of those scripts that came into my agent's office that I immediately say, ooh, I'm signing up to go in for this audition. But I read the script and I was like, there's some meat here. There's something on this page. And I did audition, and I got a chance to talk to the writers, and I was like, you know what? Now this hasn't been done before through this lens. This is something that I could really get into. Creating a role that I've never seen before, a slave from Sierra Leone in Great Britain. What does that look like? You know, and then to see that there was that role, and then paralleling that role was an African princess.
Right.
You know, how powerful was that to have two prominent Black, I'm talking about meaty roles for Black women to be proud of, to serve.
And Harriet D.
Harriet D.
kills it.
She does.
She kills it.
Oh, she's wonderful. And I just think about the little girls that come in and they can sit, all the brown girls, they can sit and watch this show and pull some strength from both of us, really. You know, the dark and the light.
But you know what I'm going to say is, I keep saying no, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know. But when I saw your part, you, from the minute you come on the stage, you have a command. You command the entire stage. And it's amazing. It's amazing. And then but the other side of the coin is, when I think about the fact that prior to this, you did the National Company of Book of Mormon.
It's a Book of Mormon, yeah.
I'm like saying, well, that's why I wanted to talk about you as an actor, because that's like night and day.
It certainly is. It really is. Pardon me. Matt and Trey. You know, South Park guys.
Right.
They have a very racy, political humor, and it's not for everyone. I do find them to be highly intelligent and hilarious. But even when I first read that script, when I was going in for the audition, I didn't think that I could do it. I was just like, no, this really just, it's just too much, even for me. And my agent said, well, why don't you just go in and see the show? And I saw it and I laughed so hard. I mean, I really did. And I was like, oh, I just feel terrible laughing. What is this? And I understood the absurdity of what the Book of Mormon is about, you know, and you really don't know what your lines are until you're faced with them. But it's just been like truly rewarding to come from something like that's so absurd to step into some shoes that really fit me just right. You know, it comes right out of my core.
And plus, this is your role. I mean,
Yes.
Anybody else now who steps into this is you going to your next stage. You're stepping into your role. And I think that's it.
That's right. They'll be looking for a Laiona Michelle type.
Yeah. Exactly what they'll be saying. She reminds us of. She took the part that Miss Michelle established.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what it's so wonderful.
Thank you very much.
It's so rewarding to see an actor like yourself who has come into their own. They really found their role. They found something that suits them. And yes, when you do stand up, and when you're in that audience, and there have been so many shows I've seen that have African American cast, and for some reason they haven't been able to attract an African American audience.
Yeah.
And this show, when I went, that was one of the most positive things. There was African Americans in there, and not just one or two sprinkles. I mean, people came to see the show, and it was more than just coming to hear someone sing Amazing Grace.
That's right. That's right. The overall, this company has really made a real effort to reach out to the community. Because there was a time when Black people were not welcome into the theater.
Right.
That just wasn't where we were. We escorted our mistresses or whomever they were to the theater, And when we were in the theater, we were going through the back doors, you know, and through the fire escapes to wait, you know. So the theater has not always been a welcoming place. So it's always an effort if you're not a show that's about us, you know.
But even then, I'm going to tell you what I've seen.
Yeah.
And not to cut you off, but
Yeah.
there was a time, we're getting ready to do the 40th anniversary of the Wiz. It's kind of,
Yes.
Now back in '75, there was a black room.
Mhm.
You had all your shows and people were coming out in mass, and then slowly, for some reason, it became the Great White Way again.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, for over the past couple of years, they haven't embraced an African American audience. I haven't done things really to entice them to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And to see this show now,
Yeah.
where it is embracing.
Yeah. Well, you know, my personal opinion is we are drawn to each other. I do believe. And even as an actress, when I look for shows that I want to see, I'm always thinking, are there black people in the show? Are there people of color in the show? Because then I'm curious to see the projects. And Broadway can be better. It can do much better with diversifying all shows. All shows. It's a little bit scary being in an industry where we're still taking baby steps, you know, where roles have to be for a black person and not just for a woman, you know. And it's about time we just, you know, everybody, let's just get it together and come together and audition women, audition men, and when you earn a part, you earn a part. And it's just so much, it will be so much more satisfying overall to the audience, to the community, to artists. And I think that it's something that must happen. And I think we're learning that, but very slowly. We're very slowly getting it.
Well, I'm waiting for now the first one on a piece of paper money.
I know that's right.
Coming. And so I hope they get it.
About time, right?
I hope it's Andrew Jackson and not Jefferson.
We might have to just settle for Oprah.
Wouldn't that be something? Like, probably put her on a $3 bill or something, you know, just to spite.
I love it.
Again, thank you so much.